70 years ago today, nearly 100,000 North Korean People's Army troops, well armed and trained by the Soviet Union, launched a vicious attack south across the 38th parallel. Their goal? Unite the Korean Peninsula as a unified communist country. In 1950, the 25th of June was a Sunday, and like the early Sabbath morning strike on Pearl Harbor, the North Korean assault took the fledgling Republic of Korea Army and their U.S. advisors completely by surprise. On the 27th, as North Korean armored units supported by heavy artillery approached Seoul, capital of the Republic of Korea, less than 32 miles from the border, the UN Security Council adopted Resolution 83, authorizing UN member states to provide military assistance to the Republic of Korea. Seoul fell to the enemy the following day in a horrendous carnage. On June 30th, President Truman ordered U.S. Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marine units in the Pacific to reinforce the Republic of Korea forces and repel the aggressors.
We are united in detesting communist slavery. We know that the cost of freedom is high, but we are determined to preserve our freedom no matter what the cost.
Issuing an order is one thing, but having a peacetime army carried out is something else. On the 7th of July 1950, the UN Security Council passed Resolution 84, approving a UN unified command led by the legendary General Douglas MacArthur, the only five-star general left on Earth. For the next 2.5 months, UN forces were repeatedly defeated as they retreated toward Busan, the only deep-water port in South Korea. The brutal fight to hold the Busan perimeter on the southern tip of the peninsula finally ended on the 15th of September, when the 1st Marine Division led an audacious amphibious assault 150 miles behind enemy lines at Incheon on Korea's west coast. In vicious house-to-house fighting, Seoul was liberated 10 days later, and the decision was made in Washington and at the UN to advance into North Korea. By mid-November, UN forces had destroyed or captured nearly all of the North Korean People's Army and were approaching the Yalu River, the border with Communist China. MacArthur dismissed reports of Communist Chinese units fighting against American and Allied forces as a, quote, handful of volunteers infiltrating into Korea. In fact, we now know that by November, more than 260,000 Communist Chinese were already on North Korean soil, waiting for the dreadful cold of a North Korean winter to take its toll on the UN forces. On November 27th, they struck. The 8th U.S. Army was routed, exposing the left flank of the 1st Marine Division, holding positions near the Chosin Reservoir. Surrounded and outnumbered, 20-1, the 10,000 Marines of the 1st Mardiv decided to attack in a different direction. Their epic breakout from the frozen Chosin to the port of Hongnam was completed in subarctic conditions over treacherous terrain by December 9th. The Communist Chinese and a remnant of the North Korean People's Army proceeded to recapture Seoul in January 1951. The South Korean capital was finally liberated for good in March by UN forces. During the bloody stalemate that followed, troops from 7 European countries and 10 others from around the globe fought beside U.S. soldiers, sailors, airmen, guardsmen, and Marines in Korea. By the time the Korean conflict ended with an armistice, not a peace treaty, on the 27th of July, 1953, nearly 1.8 million of our countrymen had served in this police action. It claimed the lives of 36,574 Americans. More than 103,000 were wounded, and 4,714 were captured, and more than 7,800 remain missing in action. Now there's something to remember about what's now called the Forgotten War that began 70 years ago today. This special edition of Real American Heroes is sponsored by Broccolite, the first American-made supplement to bring you stabilized sulforaphane, the real reason your mother wanted you to eat your broccoli. Sulforaphane has the ability to fight inflammation, detoxify your body, support more efficient and effective cell function, and help with anti-aging. I take it to boost my immune system. For me, it's like reinforcements in combat, not just Marines, but the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard as well. Broccolite was created out of love for a friend in need. It's now available for the family and friends you love. Go to broccoli.com/heroes and get 20% off your initial purchase. And it says right here on this bottle, it's not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease, and to do as directed by my healthcare professional. I did. He urged me to take one in the morning and one at night. Here's to your health. Semper Fi.